Hey guys, welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick. I know you clicked on the thumbnail to see how I lost all that money, and we'll get to that, I promise. But let's do a market recap first. The stock market could not be stopped this week, even though on Friday we left off with that large red candle as the impact of the coronavirus was digested by the market. Sunday night, the Chinese markets opened up after their week-long break, but with some interesting stipulations. There wouldn't be any short selling allowed, and the government was going to inject $174 billion of liquidity into the market. By doing so, they hoped there wasn't going to be any panic sell-offs. But there was. Their market dropped by 8%, which is their largest drop since the 2015 flash crash. So at this point, I thought I'd be writing a script that says, Nick's largest return ever, because I was heavy on the short side. But when the US market opened on Monday, it was like they pretended that the virus just didn't exist, and they did so the entire week. So instead of this being my largest winning week ever, it was my largest losing one. If I had all my puts in Ford though, I'd be singing a different tune, as they reported their 2019 profits to be down by $3.6 billion because of slowed sales and pension expenses. This dropped the stock 9.5% on Wednesday, 0.7% on Thursday, and 1.7% on Friday. I can't do a market recap this week without talking about Tesla mania. The stock saw a 20% jump on Monday, followed by another 20% jump the first 5 hours of trading on Tuesday. At the peak, the stock had a price of $969, but the last 10 minutes of trading brought it all the way down to $887. The drop continued on Wednesday as the stock fell 17.2%, but held steady on Thursday and Friday, closing out at $748. Alright, on to the rough part. One of the reasons I made this YouTube channel was to keep myself accountable, to trade with a strategy, without emotions, and to slowly but consistently grow the account. So I knew if I lied about the losses this week, not only would that destroy the credibility of the channel, but I'd also be missing out on some much deserved criticism. I'm a firm believer that you only change when you're uncomfortable. And for trading, that means losing money. So let's hear it in the comments how stupid I was this week, how I'm a loser, and how I should stop trading. What really killed my account this week was having over 30% of my capital in puts, as I thought the market would continue its drop from Friday. Then, instead of closing out my positions on Monday, I figured I'd wait for the Democratic Iowa caucuses. Because if Bernie won, there was speculation that it would drop the market, but we saw how that turned out. So I closed out those positions on Wednesday with huge losses and a new sense of urgency to improve my trading. On Friday, I decided to write out a set of rules for myself. Many of these rules I broke during the week, and it cost me $2,000. My first rule is that I won't enter a trade unless I have a price target and a stop loss physically set. This way, I can set the trade in the morning and not waste emotional energy constantly checking on the price. I'll just take the position and let it play out. My second rule is that I won't add to a losing position. And this is actually the only rule that I didn't break this week. And thank God I didn't, because any position that I was losing in never turned around. This is a common mistake for traders to make, and it's an easy one to justify. In the past, I would always just tell myself that I was averaging down. But with my trading time frame of 3 to 5 days, averaging down really just magnifies your losses. This goes into my third rule. If a setup isn't working for me shortly after I put on the trade, I'll exit the trade and keep my money on the side while I reassess the situation. This allows me to take a closer look on how the stock is moving without my emotions clouding my judgment. Another rule I set for myself is to never let a big winner become a loser. For stocks, this means if I'm up over 5%, I'll set my stop loss above the price that I got in at, guaranteeing a win. And for options, if I'm up over 50%, I'll do the same. I also set some allocation caps for myself. I said at any time, I'll have 20% or more of my portfolio in cash. Any stock position I'd take would never be over 10% of my portfolio. Any option position I'd take would always be less than 5% of my portfolio. And the aggregate of all the option positions would be under 10. And finally, I wouldn't have any more than 4 active positions at a time. Now let's head over to the eTrade platform so we can analyze in detail how I broke these rules while trading ANTM, CSCO, and Roku. First, we'll start with ANTM. And this trade highlights my rule to never let a big winner turn into a loser. I bought a 265 strike put on Wednesday after earnings dropped this down. The stock had closed below the lower Bollinger Band near the low of the day and on high volume. A perfect recipe for a continuation move down. And it did so on Thursday and Friday. So by the close on Friday, I was up $400, nearly 100% on my put. But with another close under the Bollinger Band, I was trying to let my winners run. Then of course on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the stock climbed higher, and instead of booking nearly a $400 profit, I had to take a $240 loss. Next we have CSCO, and this trade violated the rules on option position size and the one about cutting the trade if it doesn't work in your favor quickly. I bought a $46 strike put on Wednesday for similar reasons to the ANTM trade. The stock had closed below the lower Bollinger Band, near the low of the day, on increased volume. But no setup works 100% of the time, And as the next day, the stock opened higher, and it did so on Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Finally, I cut this trade at a $408 loss. And finally, we have Roku. If you watched my last recap, I was feeling pretty good about this trade going into the weekend. We had 2 puts and a call, and Roku had just announced that they wouldn't be showing the Super Bowl. This caused the stock to drop 7% and the value of my puts to shoot up. Then over the weekend, Roku and Fox worked out a deal and aired the game. With that, and the market being up as a whole on Monday, the stock shot up. By Wednesday, the stock started losing momentum and dropped all day. I finally exited because of the third rule, as this position wasn't immediately going my way and the trading was very choppy. This was a loss of $885. Thanks for tuning in to Stock Tricks with Nick. I hope you learn from my mistakes and take some time this weekend to review your own trading rules or make some new ones for yourself. As you can see, they're very important to have so your trading doesn't get out of control. Each of my trades you can find in the trading journal in the description below, along with my stock twits and Twitter accounts. That's what I'm doing this week. Comment below on what I should have to do if I break any of these rules to keep me accountable in the future. Good luck trading and see you next week.